This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, Rehabilitation Hospital of New England, and North Shore Community College. If you have the will to attend college, we have the way for you to earn your degree.
Hello and welcome to LCTV News. I'm Dani Vittori, and as we come off the celebration of another USA anniversary, the skies continue to be filled with fireworks, with celebrations in full swing. On the Lowdown, we welcomed a familiar face in the Bike Patrol of Lynn, who discussed their founding and the work they are doing to become a part of the community. Here's the news for Friday, July 7th, 2023. The Massachusetts Broadband Institute is seeking responses from the public using their newly launched Massachusetts Statewide Digital Equity Survey. The goal was to create a digital equity plan for the state, allowing residents from all access and skill levels the ability to access the internet in their everyday lives. The survey is available in 9 languages and is completely anonymous, with only general demographic information being collected. Additionally, the results will be used to guide funding to increase access to education, healthcare, civil engagement, and economic opportunities. Jah'nyah Spencer debuted her solo exhibit last Thursday the 29th. She explains her inspiration and motivation for the piece for those who attended. Here's more from the event.
My name is Jah'nyah Spencer, and I am an artist based here in Lynn, Massachusetts. I am here at my solo exhibition, Laws of the Sin, here at Caldwell Apartments in Lynn. And behind me is my piece. The piece is called Balance Prevails When the World Runs Riot. And this is a very different piece from what I've done before. Most of my work is known to be portraiture, character designs, but mostly faces. And this is the first piece of artwork that I've produced publicly that doesn't have either of those, and I want to focus strictly on like environmental development, world building, and I really want to try to tell a story with this piece. So the fish in the painting, they're like these supernatural spirit fish, and what they do, they show up when like supernatural activity is happening, or when there's like a lot of energy in one space, and they represent the world of the universe, kind of like seeing everything, even the things that we don't even see about ourselves or about the world around us. And they kind of like come in and they like bring the balance, because koi fish, they swim with the flow, and usually they don't always swim in like schools of fish. They kind of do their own thing, but with these fish, they're like swimming in a school, and there's the continuity that I wanted to bring to kind of like show the flow of energy in a space. I wanted to have the show so the public could come in, the community could come and take it in and hear what I have to say, in terms of you don't always have to worry about disappointing other people or even disappointing yourself. Like, there's no perfect process, there's no perfect person, and sometimes you don't have to overcompensate or overcomplicate things for the sake of getting the perfect outcome. And I feel like with this process, it taught me a lot about that.
The City of Lynn, in collaboration with the Governor's Office, held a ferry kickoff event complete with a ride to and from Boston to celebrate ferry services returning to Lynn. Here are some clips from the event.
Welcome to the ceremonial ribbon cutting for the Lynn Ferry service to Boston. And on behalf of the men and women at the MBTA, I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity for us to provide this service from Lynn to Boston and the neighboring communities. We're really excited about adding this to our portfolio.
So pleased to be here with all of you as someone who commutes from the North Shore every day into Boston. We know how critical it is to have alternative modes of transportation, especially during the time frame that the Sumner Tunnel is going to be closed. Over 40,000 cars a day go through that tunnel. And this opportunity, I think of this as not just a construction project to update a 100-year-old tunnel, but also an opportunity for us to celebrate other ways to get into Boston beyond just driving your car.
We started to think about, how could we address the needs of commuters during the Sumner Tunnel closing, but it became apparently clear to us that, it's beyond that. It's about making connections and building a transportation network.
There are so many great reasons to ride this ferry. You're helping a game-changing infrastructure project. You're helping solve our climate crisis by traveling efficiently. You're helping build our ridership numbers to get on this ferry.
His fellow Salem resident said to me, when I can, I take the ferry. It takes a little bit longer, but it's just such a beautiful way to go to work. So much of our lives revolve around work, and just getting to and from work can be such a chore. But when you have the opportunity to get a beautiful boat ride and appreciate the water that so defines this part of Massachusetts, this part of the world, it's an opportunity that more people should take advantage of.
As briefly mentioned last week, the City Council held a special meeting to discuss and vote on the budget on Thursday the 29th. This is the second time they held the vote, as their initial meeting back on the 12th violated open meeting laws by not having a public notice. There is an increase of $36 million for the 2024 fiscal year budget when compared to last year. Education will receive the most funding, coming in at $235 million, followed by public safety at $47 million, and the general government collecting $38 million. One point in an open letter from the public hearings was the belief that the police and fire departments would not be receiving enough funding. According to Mayor Nicholson, the approved budget should allow for additional personnel to be hired in most city departments. As part of Final Fridays, the Lynn Museum presented a special edition entitled Summerfest. There were live performances by local artists, as well as boards residents could bring to places participating in Restaurant Week to win prizes. Take a look.
My name is Jah'nyah. I'm the Youth and Engagement Coordinator here at the Lynn Museum, and I oversee the Final Fridays program. Today is Final Fridays. This is our June installment. We're having a summer celebration. We have Jah'nyah High Five featuring Street General Touchy One coming all the way from New York. We have the Cinnamon Band coming all the way from Lowell. We also have tables out. Today is the last day of Taste of Lynn, so we are encouraging folks to go to the local restaurants and get stickers on their brochures so they can enter in the raffle tonight.
So it's a project created to pay homage to the Mexican board game or Central American game Loteria, which is similar to bingo, where they pull out a card and you can put like a bean or a penny, or if you have chips, to market. And yeah, I was just really inspired by the places that I visit. I just wanted to put that into perspective and pay homage to my heritage.
And we just invite everyone to come outside and just enjoy the music and festivities with us.
We're trying to save somebody from the cruel world we live in. We have Foster Mass here. We have Leo in the house. Leo has so much information. If you are looking to buy a house, if you are looking to get some help with your mortgage, if you are looking to get some help with your rent, if you are looking to get a job, the Lynn Museum has so many activities going on all the time. Feel free to come up to their info table and find out how you can see more about the history of this city.
I think events like this are beneficial because it helps bring members of the community into activated spaces that they might not have ever heard of before. I've been living in Lynn for a long time, and it was events like this where I would come to the Lynn Museum and I would get to network with other people, get to meet more people, and start to become more active in my community. And I think it's great, especially for the youth and for people that live here in Lynn that might not always know where to go and where to enjoy themselves. So this is a perfect introduction for that.
A group of people gathered to hear a reading of What to a Slave is the 4th of July in Wyoma Square to acknowledge that while progress has been made, there is still a long way to go. It began on July 4th in 2020 as Occupy Wyoma Square in response to the killing of George Floyd and has continued ever since. Diverse People United helped organize the event, and several groups and officials showed up. They reminded the crowd that it is crucial to remember that while Independence Day is an important holiday, there is still much progress to be made. This comes in the wake of several controversial Supreme Court rulings, which motivated some of the people present to march. Keeping with an annual tradition, 2 speeches by Frederick Douglass were read on July 3rd. While weather put the event inside the museum, a crowd still gathered to hear the words of Douglass and how impactful they still are, even after all these years.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of Lynn.
The Frederick Douglass speech is such a huge and important part of our history, and we definitely should be continuing to do programs like this to acknowledge that speech. The words, the meaning of it is still relevant today.
I've been doing this Mass Humanities created event, What to the Slave is the 4th of July. It is a speech by Frederick Douglass.
None of us are 100%. It's a catch-22. Stitch right into your red, white, and blues now. I'm gonna smile as I remember that you're ignorant, because the only truth is that American equals immigrant.
Friends and fellow citizens, the task before me is one which requires much previous thought and study for its proper performance. I do not remember ever to have appeared as a speaker before any assembly more shrinking, nor with greater distrust of my ability than I do this day.
Oppression makes a wise man mad. Your fathers became restive under this treatment. They felt themselves the victims of grievous wrongs, wholly incurable of their colonial capacity. With brave men, there's always a remedy for oppression.
Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity which is outraged, in the name of liberty which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and to denounce with all emphasis I can command everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America.
6 months after being voted in as the new superintendent of Lynn Public Schools, and a year after Dr. Patrick Tutwiler announced his resignation, Dr. Yvonne Alvarez is officially taking over. She was one of 3 candidates who participated in final interviews before the school committee, where she was unanimously voted to the position when the motion passed in December. Before coming to Lynn, Dr. Alvarez worked in the Miami-Dade School District for 27 years as a teacher, principal, district director, and administrative director. Her main goal is to give students the same opportunities she was given in school, allowing them to reach their full potential. Originally scheduled for the 3rd, a free concert at Red Rock Park, followed by the Lynn fireworks celebration, took place on the 5th due to rain. Nevertheless, people still came out to enjoy a night of fun. Take a look. On Wednesday, July 5th, Lynn and Swampscott held their annual fireworks show. The shifting of dates due to rain did not deter the community, as people turned out in droves to hear live music from the dirty floorboards, enjoy fried dough, and play lawn games across the entirety of Red Rock Park and beyond to the beach below.
You've been performing together.
The guitar player that was standing there and the bass player, it's been 12 years, I believe it was.
Oh, wow.
And then he joined
11 years ago.
11 years ago.
They were 12.
I'm almost 10 years ago. And then he's like 45 anyway. Six, yeah.
He's the new guy.
He's the new guy.
For some, it is a tradition, including this family, who comes every year to honor their mother, who passed away 4 years ago, but lived by the beach and always enjoyed coming to the fireworks. For both her, her daughter, and granddaughter, the fireworks are a way of keeping this tradition going. For others, it is a way to celebrate the 4th surrounded by family and friends. It all came to a shining conclusion as people turned to the sky for the long-awaited and highly anticipated fireworks display.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the fireworks. Thank you to everybody who put this on. It means a lot to us. Thanks a lot.
For LCTV News, I'm Dani Vittori. On deck, the sports update. As another school year comes to a close, the spotlight turns to several athletes from Lynn and across the Commonwealth who excelled as multi-sport athletes. For St. Mary's, it was David Brown, who rushed for over 1,000 yards and 21 touchdowns his senior year and led the basketball team to within a game of another state title. Vic Maffo from Kip is another basketball-football threat, as he was the second leading scorer for the Panthers on the hardwood, while also posting 6 interceptions and 16 touchdowns on the field. Lynn Classical boasted 2, Ava Thurman and Brady Warren. Thurman scored 44 points for the soccer team and was named co-MVP of the Greater Boston League in basketball. Warren came in as a triple threat in baseball, basketball, and golf. He was the GBL Player of the Year in golf, going undefeated on the course, and was named the MVP of the Agganis baseball game. Sitting in 4th place in the Coastal Division of the NECBL, the Navs are still trying to get back to 500. They are now 10-14, blanking Martha's Vineyard 5-0 before losing their next 2, 4-1 to the Sharks and 4-1 to the first place Newburyport Gulls. In a thriller on the 3rd, the Mainers were again victorious 6-5 in 10 innings. Runs in their final 2 at-bats pushed Stanford over 500 to 11-10 as the Navigators dropped their 3rd consecutive game. They rebounded with a commanding 3-4 win over the Keene Swamp Bats, recording a season-high 16 hits with 3 homers. 11 different players had hits for the Navs, led by Henry Kazmar, going 4 for 6 with an RBI and 3 runs scored. The highlight of the game came off a Matt Chantel grand slam in a 7-run 3rd inning, making him the first Nav to do so since Logan Bravo on July 21st of 2021. In a seesaw season, the Red Sox were swept by the Miami Marlins before going on the road and sweeping the Toronto Blue Jays. Boston had a comfortable 5-0 win, with 24-year-old pitcher Brian Bayo throwing a no-hitter until the 7th inning. The next 2 were trickier, as Alex Verdugo threw out Bo Bichette at home plate in the bottom of the 9th to secure the 7-6 win. Jarren Duran was clutch, with hits in all of his 5 at-bats, with 3 runs scored in the finale, helping the Sox to another narrow 5-4 win. The Sox fell back to earth, returning home to and hosting the Rangers, losing 6-2 on Independence Day. Texas took advantage of a bullpen game by Boston, knocking in 3 in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, and 2 more in the 7th. Another stellar 7-inning performance by Bayo, who gave up 2 earned runs on 8 hits, propelled the Sox to a 4-2 win in the equalizer, before securing a 10-6 victory in a high-powered offensive battle where the teams combined for 25 hits. The Celtics have made several moves in the past few weeks between trades and the draft. One of the biggest headlines was their trading of Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies as part of a 3-team deal. In return, they received Kristaps Porzingis, a 7'3" center from the Wizards. In the draft, they acquired Jay Walsh from Arkansas in the 2nd round. Walsh is known for diving to the floor and coming up with 50-50 balls. On the lowdown, a member of the Lynn Bike Patrol and Eliot Community Health Services talked about the partnership between the groups and the importance of making both more visible to the rest of the community. Here's the lowdown. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lynn Lowdown. Today we have on some very special guests, member of the Lynn Bike Patrol as well as Eliot Community Health. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Hey, now, do you want to just quickly introduce yourselves for us?
Officer Tom Morley. I've been a police officer since 1995, and I'm currently on the Lynn Police CBD Bike Unit, which has started in March of 2020.
Good job.
Thanks.
Shyra Broughton. I am a case manager for the Behavioral Health Unit at the police station. We are a partnership with Eliot Community Human Service.
And I have to ask, was the bike unit started because of COVID, or did it start and then COVID started and it just kind of...
It started, we had a federal grant, and in end of 2019, we picked the guys, and it was supposed to start at the end of March of 2020, but we all know what happened then. So then they pushed it off until the beginning of June. That official rollout was beginning of June of 2020.
And you were obviously very closely together, the behavioral health unit, as well as the bike patrol. How did that partnership sort of begin?
Well, it's, so we are strategically placed in the back of the police station, so we're a resource for the officers in the community. So it just made sense that since we're always downtown, we're on their routes, we spend a lot of time in the community, that a patrol that is mostly proactive with the community would work with us. So it's a great partnership, I think.
Yeah, it was it was part of the plan too. The administration wanted us working closely with them because we're going to be dealing with lots of people. There'll be a lot of crossover with people with mental health issues, antisocial behaviors, drug addiction. So just to be able to talk to those people and have outside the box thinking of just, all right, we're going to arrest away the problem. Now we can go like, all right, this ain't working for this person, so let's try to put them to a behavioral health unit, and they can help them with some services.
Yeah, try and connect them with some of the resources, right?
Yes.
As much as possible.
And I know it might be hard to describe because every day is different, but what would kind of be a typical patrol day or a typical day for you?
You can go first.
We have multiple people in our office that do different things. So our primary focus right now is to do overdose follow-ups as much as possible. So anytime the police encounter someone who has overdose or they get called to a scene, there's usually a generated report. A lot of times we tend to know a lot of people that are overdosing, so we try to follow up and offer supportive services, sometimes just a face to say, hey, we're here, no judgment. So we spend some time doing that, and then we do a lot of walk-ins, so people that come in off the streets that are homeless, they need help accessing services. People that are in an actual crisis in the moment will go to the calls and just try to assist in diverting from the hospital if possible. So it's a little bit of different every day. You never know what you're going to walk into. So some days it's pretty quiet, and other days it's just nonstop, and it could be anything: elder services, youth services, just everything.
Yeah, our days usually we get to the station, we'll check our digital emails and anything new that's going on in the city, and we'll check in with them. Then we'll head out and we'll ride around, maybe talk to a few people at the shelter. And I think another part of it was our unit is we talk to people all the time, not only when there's a crisis. We're talking to people when they're in good space and just having a regular conversation. So there comes a time when they are in crisis or they do need help, we can get there, and then there's that familiarity. Edit that.
You're building a great rapport with people. It's huge.
Good rapport, so that's very helpful when you get there, because just having that background with them, that might de-escalate a little bit the situation.
Yeah. And you actually did good. You answered 2 questions in one there, because I was even going to...
Boom, look at us go.
I was even going to say, how do you build relationships with the community? Because there might be some people who maybe are a little wary, or they're not, either don't know how to get help, or they maybe don't want it. That can always come up too.
Yeah, some people are standoffish, but we'll ride by. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Maybe by the 5th time they'll go, oh, hello. Then that little hello back, that builds into a little bit of a conversation, and then next thing you know, they might be telling you some problems, and whoa, we got some services that maybe we can direct you to. We've had some success stories with some people with chronic alcoholism, and we had one guy who's a chronic alcoholic and always getting arrested for open container or anything. So we started the unit. He knew me from when I was on patrol. We're talking to him, and I told him about BHU, and got him connected. And next thing you know, they got him a phone. They hooked him up with getting his ID. They found a way to get him on Social Security. He's staying in the shelter. And just by doing that one little introduction, he is so thankful every time I see him. He goes, "You did this for me." I'm like, all I really did was introduce you to them, but it's so appreciative just because we built on a hello. And
Yeah.
it built.
Yeah. We've had encounters where, they ride around downtown and we'll kind of walk by and just mock them from a corner. And they'll see someone who's chronically out there, not looking great. They'll stop and say hi. We spent one afternoon on a street corner calling detoxes for someone and managed to get them a bed that day, which is pretty hard to do these days. Mm-hmm. So for hours, and we're calling, they're calling, we have a list going, and I don't see a lot of communities where this is something that happens, and the community doesn't know that this happens, where they can give the time where they're not fully on patrol, so they're not supposed to go from call to call. They can designate a space and say, let's try and get what we can for you right now if it's available, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's a very unique program in that sense that you can dedicate so much time, all the resources to people, which I think is great. Like you said, the relationship can be everything.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And, they've assisted in diverting so many people from having to go to an emergency room or someone going into a crisis center, where they've been able to sit down, have a conversation, say, how about you talk to a clinician, have a clinician go down and chat with them. We'll go down and chat with them and follow up with services and give them that friendly face that they're willing to talk to when things get a little more escalated. So it's
and it's nothing. A lot of it's mostly not easy. It's a long game. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like we can this person's all set now. No, we got to continuously deal with their issues and problems. But that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. And at least from what I can tell, you're part of this unique brother that's received pretty positive feedback from the community. So how do you feel kind of knowing that you're part of such a unique experience?
I'm proud. I'm from Lynn. I've always been in Lynn. So to see something that we've worked so hard to create, to have a positive feedback from the community is huge. And it's a good feeling story. And you go home and you're like, guess what I got to do today? And to build this and coming into the unit and coming into the station, I'm not an officer, I'm just a civilian from an outside agency, to come in and see what's happening and know that there are new resources and that we're being received differently. And this unit is willing to grow. The police are willing to grow and change, something that I think a lot of us have hoped for, and it's amazing. And to interact with so many different officers, and more particularly the bike team, not gonna lie, they were the greatest. But they're all so happy to try new things and learn new things. And that's been a huge selling point, really, is that they're learning tools that officers don't normally learn, right?
Right.
I mean, how many folks, or any responders, whether it's police, fire, EMS, they show up, they don't know how to get someone to detox. They don't know anything other than, all right, you're having a mental health crisis, you have to go to the hospital. These guys have walked people into units where they can have an evaluation in the community on their own terms. That's an option that most people don't know you can do, and they've learned that and they help facilitate that, successfully avoiding someone from having to spend hours at an ER.
Oh, yeah.
And that's amazing. Or people that are not willing to get services because they don't want to go there, they're helping them access that, and they do this throughout their entire shift, weekends, it doesn't matter when.
Yeah, and I think also when we first started, and I think in a weird way, the pandemic helped us get to know a lot of people, because the shelters couldn't have more than so many people, and they had these tent encampments that we really just couldn't tell them where were they going to go. So we built relationships there that have lasted since then. So that, in a weird way, kind of helped us, helped you guys, because we got everyone in one place and we're talking to them and we're trying to work things through that nobody knew before, what to do.
It's a great point. I mean, services shut down or went remote, and you're working with people that are on the street, and they may not be homeless, but they are we can come outside and see someone. To talk to someone face to face is so different than having someone over the phone or the internet. And they have been able to provide, and we were able to assist with that, of having someone in the moment that you can be live talking to, versus here we're in the pandemic having no contact with people, and they're able to have that. So that was such a huge success, and it really helped boom a lot of the work that we do. Our call volume significantly increased in the pandemic for probably that reason.
Yeah. And then a lot of those people now, they have their own rooms. They're not on the street anymore. They got in
SROs, so people are in apartments.
Yeah.
I mean, people that are in recovery. And then there's still people that are doing the same game, but at least they're still open to talking and trying new things, and they're willing to reach out when they need the help.
Mm-hmm, definitely, and you provide that human contact, which can be so valuable, especially during the pandemic when so many people were isolated. Just having that person there physically in the moment is an incredible thing, and you've built it to be amazing. I mean, I see you biking around all the time. We'll see you. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. It's just riding around, talking. Like the bike, I think, is an icebreaker, and just if you're riding around the commons and you riding, just a hello. People's whole face changes when you're riding by. Hey, how you doing? And people smile. Hey, how you doing? It's like where before it was just people want to put their heads down and just walk by. Now, just the act of hello, then that can lead to a conversation.
And you ride around with these guys, they know everyone. I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to accompany them every once in a while and get to witness it in person. I mean, there was one day they're like, oh, we're going to go see so-and-so. She has this little dog, and, the dog's doing tricks and so excited to see them. And it's just a cool feeling knowing that they really take the proactive patrol serious, and they believe in community policing. And they're not there to say, all right, you did this wrong, what can we do to be helpful and build a positive relationship with the community.
The guys in the unit, they're very proactive as far as trying to help people. We have a lot of crossover with the Sheriff's Department STAR program. Which, so one of our officers, Officer Habrick, he's like basically our liaison to and we've referred so many people to that program, and it's helped a lot of people too. So it's just like another program that we work with that seems to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
You as a program are so successful, and you get to connect with others and say, I'm just about out of questions, we can wrap it up, but is there anything else that you wanted to mention or say that I maybe didn't cover?
No, I can't think of anything.
No, I probably think of something when I get home tonight, but...
Right, and now we're on a call, like, I should have said this.
We all do it, right?
Yeah, right, seriously.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
No problem, thanks.
And once again, this has been the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and we will see you next week with more guests. Up next, the community calendar. Next Monday the 10th, the City of Lynn's Parks and Recreation Department is hosting the 2023 Skills and Drills basketball program for ages 6 to 17 at Fecht O'Leary Middle School. It takes place for 3 weeks, beginning the 10th and ending the 27th. Each week, it runs Monday through Thursday, with kindergarten to 4th grade in the 9 to 11:30 a.m. series, with 5th grade to high school in the afternoon sessions from 12 to 2:30 p.m. Some skills covered are passing, shooting, conditioning, and scrimmages. Also on the 10th, the Haven Project presents Mocktail Mondays at the Land of a Thousand Hills Cafe. It is a non-alcoholic cocktail for a cause party, where attendees will learn to make their own custom mocktails and sample them. Additionally, there will be hors d'oeuvres for attendees to benefit the Haven Project's young clients. Tickets are $20 in advance and $25 at the door. Lynn Farmers Markets are back from July 6th through November 16th, every Thursday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Central Square. All vendors accept a variety of payment methods, including SNAP, cash, senior coupons, debit, and credit cards. Head down to get fresh produce from local vendors. That brings us to the end of the news for this week. For more on these events and others happening around the city, visit our website, lyntv.org. Also, follow us on social media at Lynn Community Television to stay up to date on announcements and news for Lynn. Go to Lynn Community Television on YouTube as well for videos and staff and member content. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, Rehabilitation Hospital of New England, and North Shore Community College. If you have the will to attend college, we have the way for you to earn your degree.